Before we get started, I'd like to thank Dulcefina Media for coming tonight.
We don't often get the welcome mat, but we did in South Padre Island when we first showed up back in May. You got a problem. It didn't last long. The empty chair that night belonged to Mayor Pro Tem Joe Rico. Turns out he was hiding in the back until we left City Hall. 2 weeks later, we came back to find him. I want to talk to you, Mr. Rico. Do you retaliate against people who criticize you?
If they supported the businesses coming in, I would say it would be fine, but they're not. They're only looking out for their best interest. They don't want competition.
Competition with the bars owned by the city's top public officials. When Bill Carroll and his wife opened Scully's Bar here along the main drag in South Padre Island, they thought they would stay here forever.
They're cutting your throat. They're taking your money.
They've now left town because of the island mafia, they say.
One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Scully's opened on the main drag on South Padre back in November of 2022.
I had live entertainment. I had pool tables, dart machines, a real nice bar.
The owners were from Wisconsin, but they had fallen in love with South Padre. It's hard to blame them. The waves, Mother Nature. But a year and a half after it opened, Scully's went out of business.
Put my heart and soul in it and know that. I stuck, lots of cash, a lot of work into it, and it meant everything.
The bar sign is still up, but the place, it remains empty.
It's just sitting there I believe they're using it as an example.
An example of what happens when you try to compete with the bars owned by the city's top public officials in the island's entertainment district. You've never heard anyone complain that you guys are using your office improperly, to use city employees to retaliate against people who criticize you.
Never done that.
Why are you hiding behind the post? The mayor and the mayor pro tem among the partners in Louis and in Tequila Sunset. The fire chief, he owns Driftwood Landing.
It started pretty quickly after we opened.
The biggest crowds hit the island on spring break, and Carroll got permits for special events.
Joe Rico's pulled out front of my building, calling in code violations supposedly because he wasn't agreeing with it, and I had him come in and tell me I had to shut down all my activities.
But as the months went on, Carroll would see code violations at Tequila Sunset, overflowing garbage bins. But listen to what happens when he called City Hall.
They straight up said, well, that's Joe Rico's thing. We won't do nothing. And then all of a sudden, a lot more complaints come my way. They started towing everybody. So a lot of the people got scared to come to my place because they were afraid that they would be towed.
It's free to park here in that big parking lot in the center of the entertainment district. But the parking lot is not owned by the city like it should be. Look at the signs that are up. You can park here, but only if you're going to certain bars. Virtually all of them are owned by the city's public officials. The parking lot, it's owned by the guy who owns a lot of the land in this part of the island, Alter Holland. Him and his family are partners with the mayor and with Joe Rico, who defends the lock they have on the parking here.
Private business paid for the lot. You don't let someone park in your driveway, do you? Your neighbors? Of course not.
You've seen the retaliation against others.
Yes, I have.
Attorney Erica McCauley challenged the ethics of the new arts district in town. Half the district is that parking lot. Her art shop is excluded.
I'm not using the government to benefit my business, so why should anybody else be able to do that?
Scully's remains closed, but we saw this small bar next to the fire chief's place. It's called Coconut Jack's, and it's not owned by a public official.
Their customers still park in there and don't get towed from them.
The owners of Coconut Jack's won't do an on-camera interview with us, but from what we learned, it sure looks like they were shaken down. We've seen the checks. Money Rico allegedly wanted for the Walk for Women, an island charity for breast cancer survivors. The charity says it's raised $669,000, but the owners were told to send $8,000 last year. And they did. But this year, Rico upped the ante, demanding $12,000. The owners just sent $8,000. And Rico? He didn't give that check to the charity. He sent it back, uncashed. Money that could have gone to breast cancer survivors. Lisa Graves is the vice president of Walk for Women. We called her because she's also on city council.
Would you be concerned if the owners of Coconut Jacks were told that if they didn't give the check, they couldn't park in that parking lot in the entertainment district?
I'm not privy. I don't know any of that, so I don't know.
Well, would you be concerned, or do you not care?
I think I'm going to hang up at this moment.
Coconut Jacks isn't a threat to the bars owned by the mayor and Joe Rico. It's a small place. But this would be. Bubba Gum. That's what the owners plan to put in this spot along the bayfront. They've already bought another piece of land, 600 feet from the planned restaurant and bar, so they have the required parking. The city ordinance requires enough parking within 1,200 feet. But they face long delays on approval from the fire chief, the guy who owns the place next door. And on March 19th of this year, something else happened. And boy, does this smell.
The shared parking of off-site parking must be within 200 feet from the lot with the principal building instead of 1,200 feet.
That likely kills any new bars that want to come into the entertainment district. It kills the competition.
1,200 feet to 200 feet. Was it done to keep the Bubba Gump people out?
Again, I wasn't on that committee.
Joe Rico was absent that day, but the mayor, he voted. A vote that protects his bar. The conflicts of the mayor and Joe Rico should be obvious to everyone, except to the South Padre Ethics Board. Yes, the city has one. They need to open their eyes, if they're able to. Because that parking lot, it's the focus of growing social media complaints. Welcome to South Padre Island, this one read. Thieves with the law in their pockets. Sounds like another issue Dolcefino Consulting should be checking out. Believe me, the tips are coming in fast and furious.
If they supported the businesses coming in, I would say it would be fine, but they're not. They're only looking out for their best interest.
The hand-picked members of the zoning committee that made the parking recommendations seem to have memory issues when we call them.
They want their dive run-down places to be the place to be.
So we asked the city for all text messages between the mayor and Joe Rico. The city doesn't want us to see them. We asked to see their emails about this parking lot change, agreed to pay the cost. Look at how long the city's lawyers claim it will take to produce the records. 41 to 42 weeks. That's almost 10 months. You think that's funny? Early on, we asked for a year and a half of phone records detailing just government calls for the mayor, Joe Rico, and the city manager, Randy Smith. The city wanted to charge us more than $14,000 to see it and said it would take 384 weeks to produce them. That's 7 years, 2032. Come on. That's because the city secretary, Nikki Soto, has decided she will only spend an hour of the week dealing with public information. We think that's illegal, a way to delay the public's right to know.
I don't seem to get a straight answer.
Well, no, you seem not to like the answer.
Yeah, because you just told me.
It's the folks who vote on South Padre Island who should rise up, demand answers.